Hello, and welcome to Mechwarrior Online. Today I'm doing a review of the Stormcrow D. I call this the ATM Crow because that's basically what I've got this thing loaded with. Somebody suggested to me a few months back that I should get a Stormcrow because I really like ATMs, and the Delta is definitely the one to get. And so I looked at it and played with it a little bit, and I've had some really, really good matches with this thing. And so I ended up trying it out with LRMs. Then I went with SRMs, and then I did an ATM build, and I've been stuck on this. This ATM build is absolutely what I want it to be. There's a couple different ways you can run this. So I've got this with an ATM 9 and two ATM 6s, which gives me a pretty good strike. So I'm getting 18 damage here, and then 22 at close range. And then I'm getting 12 damage here, and then of course 15 at close range. But I fire all four of these, or excuse me, all three of these at the same time. And then for backup weapons, I'm running a pair of SRM 6s, one in each arm. And that really gives this thing really good playability and ability to fight back in matches, as long as you don't run out of ammo, which just happened in a match I was in. But heat management is 1.14, or excuse me, 1.41. Wow. Very good. Firepower is 66, but we know with ATMs at close range it's more than that. It's probably closer to 80 or 78 to 80. I'm not going to do the math. And then speed is 97.2. Now, as far as the quirks, I'm getting an XP bonus of 2.5. I'm getting a missile cooldown, and let me make sure. Yeah, I'm getting a missile cooldown of minus 10%, and missile heat generation minus 10%, missile velocity plus 5%. Base armors for the center torso, right torso, and left torso are not really all that impressive, but for the right arm and left arm, I'm getting plus 11, which is not bad. I'll take it. Target decay duration plus 1. I'm not exactly even sure what that means, but I assume it means that I can hold the target just a little bit longer. So that would be really nice. And as far as feasibilities, well, first of all, fully skilled out, this has a range of 310 meters, which is really nice because even at 309 meters, it's delivering maximum damage, which is 12. Now these, on the other hand, oh, and by the way, SRMs have a no minimum range. ATM weapons have a minimum range of 60 meters. So at 61 meters, they're doing damage. 60 meters, they're doing damage. But if the mech is facing you, there might be a part of the mech that's closer to you than 60 meters. And so you might find that you didn't do any damage because that section of the mech might be closer. These are all things to take into consideration. Then the maximum range of optimum is about 281. It's 282, but I'm not really counting that. I count 280 usually as my number. So if they're inside the 280 meters, I will absolutely fire these and rain hell on them. And so in this case, I'm going to do 30 between the two of these, plus 22, so that's 52 damage that I'm going to do just right off the strike. And then, of course, the maximum range on all ATM weapons, depending on your... If it's unskilled, maximum is 1100. And if it's skilled on this particular mech, it's 1265. So that's really good. So long outside of my sensor range, I'm still able to fire and do damage. Let me show you the skills. So even though I've got really stellar heat management, I still packed up on the heat here, as you can see. But I've got full range. I've got a lot of heat. I went with velocity, missile features, survivability, full skeletal density, armor hardening, which is pretty much what you see on all my builds. But because I do have a tendency to tank, like you'll see in the match coming up, I also added reinforced casing and overheat damage because I'm going to be firing a lot and I want to be able to stay cool and not help the other player that's trying to kill me with doing damage to my mech. You don't want to help them. So just make sure you know how to run your mech properly with your heat and stuff like that. And if you do have a little bit of heat issue or heat scaling issues, run it accordingly. So I've got cool run and heat containment, and if you've watched even one of my videos, you probably know that I consider this armor. Seismic sensor is always useful as long as you're standing still, and radar deprivation with sensor range is always a plus. And because I like to fire without a lock, and sometimes I have to fire outside of my range, advanced zoom is always a big help. 2 cool shots and a UAV. And basically, it's as simple as it gets. I just fire these left and right, and then the 3 out on button 3, and dish out the damage. Now, you could probably go with going with 2 ATM-12s or 3 ATM-6s. You can also do that. And it doesn't diminish your firepower by very much, but it does diminish it a little bit. The benefit of running it this way, or maybe even going with 3 ATM-6s, is being able to fire them more often. Because if you look at the ATM-12, it does have a 5-second cooldown, as is the ATM-9. But on the ATM-6, it's 4 seconds. And of course, with skills, it makes it even faster. So you can see the benefit of running it that way. But you could probably go with 2 ATM-12s and probably do very similar damage. The reason I go with it this way, with 2 ATM-6s versus a single, and this weighs 7 tons together, and usually you get some sort of a benefit. It's actually the same. Usually the reason I run this is because the cooldown on these is a lot better. So you can fire them more often. I wanted a little bit more firepower on that fire. So with an extra second on this one, so if you fire all 3 of these together, what happens is you do your first volley with all 3, and then the ATM-6s are going to pick up and fire, and then this one's going to fire afterwards. And it creates its own cycle. And this is something that I do quite often in a lot of my builds. Like on my Sun Spider, I have 2 ATM-9s and 2 ATM-6s, and I do the exact same thing. But on that's on my Ambush Spider. But on my C, my D, and I think my P, I run quad ATM-9s. So it just works out that way. Anyway, I hope this was useful information, and I'm going to be doing a video series of my favorite light mechs, heavy mechs, medium mechs, and assault mechs. And if you have OCD, that order probably messed with you.